So I didn't really intend to be an entrepreneur, and I would never really describe myself like that either. My thing was I just really loved creativity and art and drawing, and I wanted to find a career where I could have free rein to do whatever I wanted and to be as creative as I wanted and to explore ideas and really push myself. And I thought the best way to do that was to be self-employed. So that's how it really started, and right back at the very beginning, I was actually making hand-printed wallpapers, and I got started with a grant from the PSYBT and business support from them, the Scottish Arts Council, and I had a silkscreen printing studio, and I made these hand-printed wallpapers, and that's how I got started. But I quickly realised that I didn't enjoy the manufacturing side of things. What I was really passionate about was the drawing and the artwork creation. So the business kind of changed and developed over the years, and I became a freelance illustrator. And these days I'm doing mainly adult colouring books, so it's still the illustration, but it's making artwork for these books. I work with a publisher in New York, and that's just the way that the business has changed. So advice is a funny one, and lots of people want to give advice, and that's great, but not everybody is at the same. Well, not everyone's had the same experience, and it's not always as relevant. So I don't know, like a lot of people have said things to me like, you need to diversify your portfolio and you need to be doing. So I specialise in hand-drawn black and white artwork, and like if you want more jobs, you need to be able to do anything, typography, computer-generated stuff, colour, and that was the wrong advice. So for me, it was more important to do to be specialised and to be a one-trick pony and to really have a signature style. So not all advice is good advice. I think you sometimes just have to smile and nod. But having said that, the best advice I have been given would be to just keep going, and that nothing happens overnight. You know, this has been like a slow burner. I think everyone's used to the X Factor and the Dragon's Den moment where it all just happens really quickly. And the sort of unsexy truth is it takes a long, long time, and you chip away, and the people that succeed aren't luckier than you or necessarily more talented. It's just they've kept going, and when stuff happens and there's road bumps or you get setbacks, the people that succeed are just the ones that have kept going, and you just can't let anything like that hold you back. I mean, you definitely need to reflect on it and learn from it, but you mustn't stop. So I think that would be my top tip. So I think the biggest challenge, there's lots, like that's really tricky. For me, it was at the point where the business had grown and I had to get help, and it was about learning how to outsource and to delegate and to relinquish a bit of control. But that came kind of further down the line. At the beginning, honestly, the hardest thing was making the leap into being full-time, because I wasn't from a very massively wealthy background. I didn't have a huge lot of financial backing, and I had this idea and I wanted to do it, but I also had a part-time job. I had 2 part-time jobs, and I think to make that big transition and going, right, we're going for it, that was scary, and I don't think a lot of people speak about that. And the honest truth is, you can't just, do the big Hollywood moment and like quit your job and say that's it. Like, you have to put in enough hours to have that pot of money that's going to be your security, so that you can then transition into doing your business full time. So in terms of competition, that's a funny one. Initially, when I started seeing all the rival colouring books that popped up after Secret Garden started to do well, I was a bit annoyed. And then I realised that if nobody's copying you, you're probably not doing anything worthwhile, and it's actually a big sign that you're on the right track when you start getting copycats or people following your lead. And it is, it's a nice position to be in. I think you have to ensure that you stay one step ahead and that you're doing better work than everyone else. And the way that I do that is that I don't look at what they're all doing. I'm somebody that will see something and then a few days later I think I've had that idea and transition that into my own work. So for me, a bubble of isolation is really good. It's nice to sort of be aware roughly of what's going on, but I don't spend a lot of time deep diving into what everyone else is doing in my field. I think it's better for me to work with like a blank slate, to not be influenced by what they're doing. So that would be what I do. I'm not sure if it's the best thing. So So the lesson that I wish I'd known right at the start, and which I'm only just learning now, many, many years in, is that if a decision doesn't feel right in my gut or in my heart, even if logically and in my head it makes sense, I don't go with it. So every time something has happened that has been really bad, like a big failure, a big mistake, something that I wish hadn't happened, it's because I've done something that logically made sense and seemed to be the right thing. But deep down, I knew it was against my values. It wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't true to what my mission is. And I think being a bit insecure sometimes, you think, well, you should do the logical thing, and that that can't possibly be right. But I think deep down, you know your path, and you're better to go with your gut.